either live by the gun or you die by the sword.
Welcome to The Good, the Bad, and the Weird. I'm Nicho.
And I'm Chris.
And today, we have our very first ever guest on the show.
Hooray!
Longtime friend and shitty shark movie expert, Krystal.
Don't let them fool you. I don't know why I'm actually here.
It's because it's Shark Week!
Yes.
The best holiday.
Mm-hmm.
And Krystal knows so many shitty shark movies.
This is true.
And this is one we constantly talk about because it is the pinnacle of shitty shark movies. Because we've talked about like where Jaws is considered like the pinnacle of good shark movies.
Classic. Oh, so good.
The movie we're talking about today is the pinnacle of the shitty shark movies.
It really kind of kicked off the whole what if shark movies were bad vibes.
Yeah. Today we are talking about Deep Blue Sea.
The first one.
Yes, because there are 3 of these and potentially a 4th one.
Because of course there is.
They're all equally as good.
Oh, yeah.
In different ways.
They're all fantastic. Don't listen to him. He's lying. They're wonderful movies. They make complete sense.
They do. And of course, this movie, we have to have something to drink for our movie.
We actually have something fancy instead of water for once.
We do. So what are we drinking today, Nicho?
We are drinking Bitch Bubbly champagne.
It is red like blood.
I totally planned that.
Yes, definitely.
And did not buy it based off of the name alone.
Mm-hmm.
The way I choose my wines.
Prost.
Prost. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
was cheap.
Apparently I like my wine like I like my shark movies. Shitty.
Cheap.
Yes. So, Deep Blue Sea is a 1999 action-adventure sci-fi movie directed by Rennie Harlin and written by Duncan Kennedy, Donna Powers, and Wayne Powers.
And it stars way too many fucking people.
Yes, the 4 main ones to talk is Thomas Jane, Saffron Burrows,
Yeah.
the always fantastic Samuel L. Jackson.
Why is he in this movie?
Why isn't he?
I know exactly why he's in it. And LL Cool J.
And for some reason, LL Cool J is no longer a hot celebrity. I don't know when this happened, because for a while there, he was in everything.
He should still be.
I only know him from Deep Blue Sea.
We grew up in different locations in the suburbs.
Yep.
I knew LL Cool J because LL Cool J used to sing rap with his shirt off for 90% of his music videos and or stage performances. And that was cool to our very white, very suburban upbringing.
Interesting.
He was so cool, but also like not dangerous enough for my parents to be like, no, you cannot listen to LL Cool J because he's in Deep Blue Sea. Clearly he's safe.
I wish our listeners could see you do the 90s.
Oh, yep. Some scissor hands.
Yep.
Yes. And so, before we get into it, my sources for this episode are mainly cast and crew interviews, as well as commentary by Rennie Harlin and Samuel L. Jackson, who mainly talks about how he wanted to be golfing most of the time, or was away golfing.
Yes, and the rest of the cast and crew mostly bitched about how they hate sharks.
Yeah, pretty much.
That was the special features of this DVD, along with an incomplete list of all of the cast and crew's, things they've done outside of this movie.
Yeah, pretty standard commentary or features for the 90s.
Yeah. Would I buy this for the features? No.
No. And so, Harlan was actually hesitant to make Deep Blue Sea at first. He wanted to do a primal horror flick, but was worried because, as every director who's ever done a shark movie is always worried about being compared to Jaws.
Fair. I mean, it was the original.
I mean, you can't get away from it. It's
like a plague.
It is.
Yeah, exactly.
It is.
And so he decided on making Jaws, but with bigger and faster sharks.
Scarier sharks. And also, I appreciate that he got around the whole it's not Jaws by not using great white sharks.
Yep.
Yes. And I actually did a lot of research on Mako sharks.
So did I, because they make a lot of bold scientific claims in this movie, and I had questions on all of them.
Did I write notes on what I did?
No.
No, but I did, actually, I wrote like 1 or 2 notes. Other than that, I just read up on Makos, because they are in the same family as great whites.
Yes, they are big and scary.
Yeah,
But
a lot bigger than I fucking thought.
But you know what? Jaws set the gold standard. We're supposed to be afraid of great white sharks. And so this movie was like, haha, gotcha. It's not.
Yeah.
But it looks a lot like one.
Congratulations, there are other sharks in the sea.
Gasp.
I know, scandalous.
Oh, no. I want to see, like, goblin sharks, but, like, some mutated versions that come up from, like...
Do they
like,
need to be
I was gonna
mutated?
say, have you not seen a goblin shark?
They're
It was
already
mutated.
Yeah.
Yes,
they're already
but
there.
I'm talking about, like, creature from the Black Lagoon, like, goblin shark.
A goblin shark that can survive in rivers.
No.
Dun dun dun.
No.
Oh.
The way this movie gets around that shark is scary but not that scary is creative. Because, like a lot of shitty shark movies, we have to have scientifically enhanced sharks. But this one I feel like, yes, it was over the top. Was it subtle compared to its other movies?
Yes.
I feel like this one was pretty subtle and it's science-y.
It was just subtle enough that when you watch it, you go, yeah, no, that's totally believable. And then when you finish, you're like, no.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's like when you're watching something like, the only time I've ever believed in glass being broken, like skyscraper glass, G.I. Joe, when they've got the giant exoskeletons, and it's like,
yes,
okay, I can get behind that. Outside of that, no, you're not gonna
just swing into it.
Yeah, exactly. And so also a little bit of side stuff that I thought was interesting and always comes across whenever there's a shark movie and there's commentary around it. Some of the shark footage was actually real and was shot in the Bahamas.
Yes.
But I'm always surprised to hear that safety crews have to tell people that these are wild sharks and they are not trained.
The other thing...
Shit.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, surprise.
Yeah, because it's like everyone thinks like, oh, they're just like the tigers of the sea. We can train them a little bit.
No.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Please don't.
The other creature that wasn't a fully trained professional was the parrot. They couldn't afford...
Are you sure?
Yes.
Because he was the best character.
He is, in fact, the best character, but they didn't want to pay the extra money for a proper Hollywood-style trained parrot, which comes with a handler and can say certain phrases on cue and flies on cue. So instead, they hired two not-that-trained parrots. One that could fly pretty good, and another one who was really good at sitting on LL's shoulder.
Yeah.
None of them could talk.
Locally sourced.
That disappoints me. I was really hoping that someone had this bird at home calling them a fat ass.
I wish. No, unfortunately.
To be kudos to them, it was a locally sourced Mexico City parrot.
Oh.
Which...
Yes.
Did they find it on the street?
Maybe.
Unclear. Maybe.
But that is a good point because despite like Deep Blue Sea feeling like it was a high budget movie, it was a low budget movie.
Yeah, which somehow managed to get a hold of some really fancy sets.
Yeah, and animatronics.
Oh, the animatronics. Mwah.
Yes, and I will get into that in a little bit. So Deep Blue Sea. We open with a couple of people in the middle of the ocean getting attacked by a shark.
Yeah, a couple.
Yeah.
They're on a fucky boat.
They are on a fucky boat.
Because this movie knows from the get-go that it's a shitty shark movie and would like to let you know this is a shitty shark movie.
Yes. And, well, yeah, every time I see stuff like that, it makes me think of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
The implications. Once you get them on the open water, they won't resist because of the implications.
The implications.
Yes.
Yeah, that's an accurate start to this movie.
Yes. And so the one little bit that I find really stupid about this part is the wine bottle being like blood in the water.
I loved that.
I
thought it was brilliant.
The visuals of it are good. I will give them that. The visuals of it are much more believable than like a dumb like, oh, I slept and cut my foot. Let me dip it in the nasty ocean. I like it. Scientifically makes no sense to me.
But I like that it implies the shark is an alcoholic.
I agree.
And we are coming for the wine.
I mean...
Who is giving the sharks alcohol? Because that actually makes this movie a lot more interesting if the sharks were raging alcoholics.
It would explain the entire movie.
But you know what? It's not out of this movie's realm of possibilities because we learn that this isn't just any shark attacking these people.
Children.
These 20-year-old somethings in the
Supposed
middle of...
adults.
Hopefully adults.
Someone who took daddy's boat for a go.
These are daddy boat people. Yes. And we learn that it's not just any shark attacking them. This is an escapee.
Yes, because as they're about to get eaten or knocked into the water.
I don't know if y'all noticed this when you were watching it. I don't understand why you have this thing that's bumping and shaking your boat, and your immediate response is just to stand there.
Oh, I loved how all of them moved to
instead
the
of trying
edge.
to leave.
No, I like how all of them stood at the edge of the boat.
Yeah.
Where they could all, like, fall off.
But it was bumping in the middle, because clearly that's where a shark is going to go, is straight for the middle of the boat.
When it's a scientifically enhanced shark, they go for the middle. Because these are fancy sharks.
They can cinch you through solid objects.
That's true. We'll find out more about that later in this movie.
Yes.
Yes.
And so while they're being attacked, the shark is lampooned in because
But actually,
some dude in a boat double harpoons the beast into submission. Not even like tries to sedate it, just straight up tethers it to his boat with goddamn harpoons.
yeah, I feel like there was a better way to do that.
You do find out, I don't know if you were paying attention, that they actually do have a serum in those harpoons.
Okay, that makes more
yes.
sense, because I read that as, our prize specimen, I'm gonna spear it.
Yeah, no, it's real subtle. Later on, you see him dealing with the harpoons, and he's putting a serum into it.
Okay.
Sneaky movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because they mention at that point being like, oh, you hit it 2 times, that should have killed it.
And he's like, no, my special shark.
Yeah, didn't even knock it out.
This is why we have you here, to point out the shitty shark shit we don't notice. Because to be honest, I've seen this movie like maybe 5 times in my entire life.
Yeah.
I've seen it like 8, and this is the first time that I've noticed this.
Yes. Well, and the same thing happened with like me and Riddick, Pitch Black, when like he's walking, he's Zeke's pulling the bodies and Riddick's behind one of the bones just
creeping.
I heard y'all talk about that, and I was like, I gotta go watch Riddick, because I have never seen that, and I've watched that movie so many times.
New drinking game. Drink whenever Riddick's on screen.
How dangerous that drinking
game? Oh, it's really bad.
Lord of the Rings dangerous?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you could die.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Side note about this opening is I actually appreciate it a little bit, because the director, and every director of a shark movie that I've heard, says that they do make some kind of nod to Jaws, but he wanted to take it in a different direction. But I like that he actually ties this opening into the entire, like, movie, rather than just being kind of like, because for me, when I was, writing this outline, I realized that Deep Blue Sea is pretty much a slasher movie, but with sharks. Mm-hmm. Because the opening is very much like a Friday the 13th opening, where it's like, some random teens die. Yeah. Are they tied to the rest of the movie? Nope.
Yeah, okay, I see it.
Yeah. And so, from the brave rescue of the teens.
They're saved, we think.
We cut to a helicopter flying into the city. All of these shots are composition shots.
Of course they are.
Which is, I mean, they're still good shots. Like, it doesn't feel like it's plated behind the helicopter.
No, they look really good. They just really give off a sudden romance in the city vibes, as opposed to shark movie vibes.
Yeah, I never really understood the point of that scene. It's kind of like, I get it, but I don't.
Yeah, we need to talk to the big man, who is kind of Samuel L. Jackson?
It's a transitional scene. So it's like...
Yeah, but I feel like it would have made more sense, instead of her flying there, to be like, fuck you, and leaving. We could have made a phone call.
Yeah, it
could have been her in an office.
This meeting could have been done online.
In an email.
Yeah, that is accurate, because, like, yeah, you're right, the interrogation part of this movie is just, like, it's just real quick of, like, why is the news reporting about a test shark escaping? And it's like, this will be all over the news Monday morning. Like, they got test copies of the newspaper from, like, days before.
Yeah, which, that's impressive.
I think even possible.
I don't think it is.
No. And, I mean, yeah, so part of this, too, is, I mean, it's also a setup part. Because the woman is being, while she's being confronted, she's telling them why her research is important, and that, they've never had to deal with someone with Alzheimer's. It's affecting her personally, and
it's very moving speech. I'll give her that.
I don't feel like it's very original, because I feel like this is in a lot of these shark movies.
Yes.
Where we have to do it in person, and we have to give a big visual fuck you, when it would be a lot more impactful if you were in an office somewhere underwater, and you could just be like, click.
Yeah. Oh, this is the 90s.
Yeah.
We'd have a razor. We could snap it shut.
That would be even better.
Yeah.
Was the razor even in the 90s?
I think so. I hope so.
I swear that's late 2000s.
It might be. We still had
You mean
flippy
early
phones.
2000s?
No, because it was in high school, so it was like I think it was like 2008 or 2009 when at least I saw it. I mean, to be fair, I was in Italy, so...
Yeah, it was a little bit sooner. It might be like mid-2000s.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But, yeah, no, I get that, but for me, watching it cinematically, it's much more impressive in person rather than over the phone kind of conversations, even though I know there is a whole movie about a guy talking on a phone in his car.
True.
But I do also like this part because it starts to kind of establish some of the humanity of the character that got edited out heavily in the movie.
Yeah, I understand why they kept it. Or kept what they did keep. But her speech, while it could have totally been done on the phone or on an email, it is, for a shark movie, an impactful speech where the bad guy no longer feels quite so bad. But we also finally get to see that Samuel L. Jackson's character, who I'm going to refer to as Samuel L. Jackson because that's what this character is to me, he's the boss. He's standing, he's in a suit, we are in an office, he is big and powerful. Which helps because we're about to have everyone be very wet for the rest of the movie.
Yeah. Well, and like...
You're not wrong.
Comparatively to like something like The Meg, because we did that one and there's a very different CEO kind of vibes.
Yes, there's also a different level of money, I think, in The Meg. This one feels like the money from the 90s imagined in the future, sort of like, it's put together, they're doing their best, look at how good their fence is. And the Meg's money was like, we have glass. And it lights up. And it looks dope as hell.
Yeah.
It feels like the budget in the 90s was set at one point, and when we got to the Meg's level of budgeting, people were like, no, in the future, more money. Lots more money.
Well... Yeah, and I'll get into it in a little bit, because I do have some thoughts about, like, the architecture of the lab itself.
Oh, I do too.
Oh, no, yes.
I have a lot of comments on that.
So many.
So, we cut from the boardroom and the whole woman in science conversation kind of thing.
How dare she?
Well, I mean, it feels like one of those very stereotypical, like, women in science movies where I'm a career woman. I have to do this.
Like I said, this scene specifically starts to ring that weird romance comedy vibes where she's the business girl and she can get it done. She don't need no man, except for that man.
That might be why I don't like it.
Yeah. And so, now the president of the board, which is Samuel L. Jackson's character.
Yes.
And the women are flying... And we get our first mention that the president on board saved some friends after an avalanche in the Alps.
Because he's a cool CEO.
Well, cool, but I also like this because it begins to show his as a character, his humanitarian side, as he seems regretful for not being able to save everyone, and just not some heartless CEO. Like he's willing to give them the chance.
Yeah, I would agree to that. There's a lot of movies that you're just like, well, you're a dick. Congratulations.
Yes.
Hand me a check.
The other reason why I like this is, it seems silly, which fits a silly shark movie. But also, this is the best and longest setup for a surprise death, because this is a shark movie. In most shark movies. Most of them, we either get the person that we don't like, and that's most of the backstory, or it's that side character who said the one funny line and he dies. This one, from the get-go, we're like, he's important, he is strong, he is powerful, and he has saved some people. Mm-hmm. This man's got it.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, this is the part where I wanted to bring up. Samuel L. Jackson wasn't originally cast as this character. He was cast as the cook.
Yeah.
And
I'm conflicted.
Me too.
But a third party came in, and they said that the cook was not a big enough role for him, and Harlan reworked the script and offered him a bigger role. Harlan and Jackson had worked on a previous movie together that I did not write down, but they wanted to work on another movie again in the future. Yeah. So that's where Jackson got brought into this movie. And so this is still like his rise to stardom. I mean, this is really before Tarantino and all his roles in that.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't a nobody, but he also wasn't Samuel L. Jackson yet.
Yeah, fully.
He wasn't God.
Yes. And also, for Samuel L. Jackson's part, he used this role as a way to get some golfing in.
But he tried really hard.
And didn't expect to be in the movie as much as he was.
Yeah.
Surprise!
He also was told that he would get sprinkled and showered with water, and one of the first, filming sessions they did, he got drenched. And it was at that point he realized that this was going to be a lot more than what he'd signed up for.
Yes. And he was a good sport about it, though, too.
They all were, despite being literally put in the water with no protection with real sharks, and having a lot of water dumped on them.
Yes.
I feel like that would be my threshold of being in the water with real sharks. No thank you.
Yeah. A lot of the scenes that we will see, especially at the beginning part of the movie, are footage of the real sharks.
Which is impressive. It really is.
And I kind of wish that had been advertised a little better with this movie, because it is, once the director pointed out, I challenge you to tell which sharks are real and which ones are CGI, the beginning half of the movie, I will take him up on that.
Yes.
It is hard to tell. And it is really cool and really impressive, especially because we're getting to the part where we get to see the animatronics.
Yes. But before we get into the animatronics, we are introduced to the old submarine base that's been converted into an aquatic laboratory, creatively named Aquatica.
Because of course it fucking is.
Yes.
What else would it be called? Aqualand?
Ooh, I think that's in a different movie.
It is.
I have no clue.
No.
I think that is a movie.
No, I think it's in a movie. There is one where it's like a theme park underwater.
Yes.
And I think it's called...
Is it Jaws 3D?
Maybe.
Yes.
Is it?
Yes. They're underwater. It might be called Aqualand. If it's not, it should be.
It is now.
So, fun fact about these sets. It was actually in giant tanks in Mexico. That was the same tanks James Cameron used to film Titanic in 1997.
And if you listen to our Titanic episode, you'll know that those tanks are meant to sink.
Yes.
They're flooding tanks.
Yeah. And one thing that I actually learned from this that I did not learn from the Titanic research, that these tanks are so large that they're considered open ocean.
To the point where I think it was either one of the actors or one of the director's daughter got her scuba diving license.
It was Samuel L. Jackson's daughter.
Got her open water scuba diving license in these tanks.
Samuel L. Jackson isn't just golfing and acting. He's bringing his entire family for vacation for this movie.
But you know what? I can't blame him, because I've seen the area around it. It looks beautiful. It is that picturesque, postcard from the 90s Mexico vibes. And I can understand why he wanted to go golfing and scuba diving. And didn't get to do either of those things.
So I actually haven't looked up the area around here. I've only seen it from the sets and construction. So
I recommend dropping a Google pin, because you can still kind of see them from the Google drive-through. And that's really fun.
Interesting.
I do work.
I know. So productive.
Yes. And so this is actually kind of the part where I wanted to talk about the architecture a little bit, because the architecture of this is way different than the Meg.
It is.
Initially, because our first feel in the Meg is it's super high-tech and advanced, whereas this is very much a retrofit build. So it's new versus dealing with existing conditions.
I also think that this one is very specific because from the beginning, it doesn't feel safe.
No.
There's no fucking handrails on any of this shit.
Nope.
The fence is only 8 foot tall above the water, and as everyone knows, that is not tall enough.
And there is only one way in and one way out.
And that we know that that's disaster. And also, they've decided to put all of the explosive things together.
Yep.
Why?
Because where else would they put them?
I don't know.
Because they only wanted a safety-proof one room.
Yeah. Whereas the Meg's architecture, while from a design standpoint flawed,
very.
But from a visual standpoint, it does make you feel safe.
Yes.
If you have the whole thing where water freaks you out and aquariums freak you out, maybe not feeling that safe to you.
Don't call me out like that.
I'm calling both you and my husband out.
I get motion sick, or I get visually sick and that stuff. That screws with my equilibrium, because I have...
But as a designer, do you look at the building from the Meg and go, I would not put a person in that?
Yes.
Again, you do not count. They have solid floors there. You can't put a toe down the metal floor and have a shark eat it. It is a solid platform, like it's supposed to be.
If I step away from my ocean phobia, yes, I could put a person in there.
There are rooms that don't have windows to the ocean in the Meg, and I appreciate that in design.
Yes.
Does Deep Blue Sea do that? Oh, no.
No.
They don't have any windows.
No.
They have a lot of
They
windows.
have more windows than most shark movies, to the point where when they were doing the set, some of this is at these big tanks, but some of them they had to do in like a normal set sort of studio. And they went, oh, we need fish. So they got a tank and put it behind the window.
I've got it. Here's what the Deep Blue Sea lab feels like.
Yes.
Feels like a Bond villain's lair.
It does.
Yes.
It feels Bond villainy. It feels crunchy, like you can hear the clicking of things on that metal as people walk.
That is a good way to describe that. Looking at that building, it looks crunchy.
It looks crunchy.
Because they also do bring up that it was made in World War II as like a submarine loading area.
You know it's not rusty at all.
Not at all. So, into the lab, we actually see a shark being loaded into a pin.
It's a very floppy shark.
But this is also the first robotic shark we've seen.
Yes.
Well, sorry, not really. The opening one was robotic. But we see this one up close, and it's a remote control shark, which is way better than any of the stuff Jaws did.
Oh, no. To the point where the people working on the robotics were so happy with how their shark turned out. They were like, Jaws had to have 4 sharks. We only had the 1, and it really swims. Ha ha ha.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, this is such a different movie than Jaws that
it is.
You need an active shark, whereas like Jaws, if it had the active shark, it wouldn't be the movie it is.
No.
Agreed.
I do, especially now rewatching this film all these years later, does this shark, specifically this shark, look a little dumb? Just a wee bit. Yes. But not enough for it to be like, oh, that weird animatronic shark's in this one.
Yep.
It's just like, wow, we programmed it to flop that much? Okay.
Yeah.
If you're not really paying that much of attention, you don't even notice.
You really don't.
I didn't. And I've seen this movie so many times.
Yes.
But then again, I'm not looking at floppy sharks.
This is true.
Well, to give a little perspective of this man's credentials, the guy who was the special effects supervisor for the sharks, his name is Walt Conti.
Yes.
And he had previously done work on Free Willy.
Yes, he did.
And Anaconda.
He made that snake.
And later, he would be the shark technician for Austin Powers and Goldmember.
Yeah, yes. Lasers.
Shark Night.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
As well as the shark technician in The Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
This man is experienced with many a shark.
Yeah, he's done a lot of shark movies. I didn't mention a lot because like those are the 4 I know.
Yeah, those are the top ones. He's done a lot.
Yeah. And so in this the president of the board is finally given a name, Russell Franklin, and he is introduced to marine biologist Janice Higgins and is given a tour, which he immediately makes a Fantasy Island reference.
Yes, he does.
As the door locks behind him, again, one way in, one way out. It gives it already an ominous feel to begin with.
I want to know how this... Okay, World War II, but like, realistically, how was this approved?
It wasn't.
You have to have so many exits in buildings nowadays.
No, if you get far enough offshore, what architectural jurisdiction is going to be out there?
California's building code, and you know it.
Let's hope not.
They are by far the hardest to work with, because they have a lot of codes, and I imagine it extends into the ocean.
I mean, to a point, yeah. I mean, all jurisdiction goes so far off into the ocean. That's how the Kennedys made their money making rum off the coast.
The Missouri building code doesn't.
Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah, a landlocked state.
Shh, don't tell them that.
Has jurisdiction in the Gulf, we just don't know it.
And so, Russell sees some dude swimming with the shark. He is a little freaked out about this.
Because
just a little.
Because not only is this a shark, it is much bigger than the shark is meant to be.
I'm so glad I was not the only one who noticed that.
I had to look up how big these sharks normally get.
A tiger shark? Yeah.
Yes, because we haven't gotten to the mako sharks yet.
Yeah,
this is still the tiger shark.
Yeah, I had to look up how big these get. And, like, granted, they're big.
But not that big.
They're not that big.
No.
This is too big.
Yes.
Dial it back.
But
it also depends on what scene you're in, because sometimes it's a normal-sized shark.
That's
and
true.
sometimes it's not.
That's true. There's a little bit of special effects to get you very nervous about this shark.
Yes.
Yeah. So the man, in a feat of daring skills or something.
I don't know, parkour.
Underwater parkour.
Yes.
He grabs onto the shark, climbs up to the front of its face, and gets a plate out of its mouth, while the president of the board is kind of freaking out, but Higgins doesn't give a shit.
Higgins gives no shits. Also, I have a question. Why didn't we take the license plate out of the shark when it was in the net?
Because it's not as cool.
Yes, exactly. Cinematic reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Rumors.
And to show you that this man in the water is apparently a shark god.
He is a shark god. This is the same actor who spent most of the commentary being very upset he was in the water with sharks.
Mm-hmm.
He has a terrible fear from it, and then also, like, that just progressed his fear being from this movie. And he was like, yeah, no thank you. Did not like it. I hate it every minute.
Yes. This man is a shark whisperer like I am a cat whisperer.
Yes.
Cats love me because I treat them like cats treat cats.
Yes.
You're not wrong. It's kind of scary.
It's great. And so this shark god of a man is introduced to the president of the board of Chimera Pharmaceuticals.
Samuel L. Jackson.
We're real creative in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I'm not very good with branding myself, so, like...
Yeah, but, like, to...
Chimera Pharmaceuticals. Like, would you see that and be like, yeah, I trust their drugs?
No.
It feels...
They might as well call it not poison.
I guess if you don't know what a chimera is...
Okay, yeah.
It's also a little foreshadowing, but it's kind of not because...
It's a shark movie?
Well, they're not also, like, supposed to be creating bioweapons, basically.
It just feels a little bit on the nose.
Yeah. Yeah. But... in the scene, I do love the joking and implication that Russell makes that, or implications made that Russell is the fat little seal, that sharks don't really normally attack people. They only attack us because they think we're a fat little seal.
I didn't know who you were talking about because you said Russell.
Sorry, Yeah, I actually call the characters by the names because That's
fine. I just don't know their names. I know them by their personality.
Russell,
this is Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Well, and the reason I call them by their names is because I like the disconnect between them as a person and them as a character.
Yes.
Yeah.
And normally I do too. Unfortunately, Samuel L. Jackson has become one of those actors. Kind of like Alan Rickman.
Well, and for me... I'm terrible with names.
Same.
It can take me years to remember one of my friends' names.
Fact.
So.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I just know them by the face or what they've been in.
Yeah.
The other trouble I have, especially with shitty shark movies are really bad about it, but most R-rated like slasher movies is we don't really yell names in this movie. No. So I get introduced once to this character, and so now we have Samuel L. Jackson, the CEO, and we have Indiana Jones, the Shark Wrangler.
Yes.
The most time a name is said in a slasher movie is when the teens are getting it on.
That's very true.
You're not wrong.
And so, also a little side bit about this movie that I would not have noticed unless the director pointed it out. The license plate removed from the tiger shark's mouth is the same one from Jaws when they cut open the tiger shark.
Aw, adorable.
Yes.
Didn't realize that.
And that's why that's where the line, this shark will swim all the way to New Jersey.
That's a long shark. Swim.
A long shark? Yeah.
I mean,
it is a long shark.
It's a long shark, but also a long swim, but also makes much more sense.
Yes. So at this point in the movie, we are warned of an incoming storm as the weekday crew leaves, and we are introduced to the brilliant man, scientist, icon to us all, Jim Whitlock, who is pissing into the wind.
Yes.
See, I feel like you just overlooked my favorite character.
Uh-huh.
Because you were introduced to her first.
Tits McGee?
Yes.
Yeah, Tits McGee is a good character.
Jane? It's the only other person I know. Is her name Jane?
I don't know.
The one dancing in the tower?
Oh, yeah. She's such a minor character in this movie.
She is, but she is a very
good she's the one who warns us about the storm. She is a inconsequential character. That looks so bad.
IMDb has some delightful photos of this to help us remember which characters look like what. And one of them is just... This is from IMDb's own website, but that looks like a photoshopped blow-up shark if I ever saw one.
Just being like, hey guys.
Hey.
What you doing?
You got time to talk about our Lord and Savior Bruce?
I'll have to post that picture at some point. That is gold. And so, the Shark Wrangler is the Shark Wrangler is confronting an assistant. The shark should have been out, but it is informed that there was enough drugs in his system that should have been done, and that the pin was closed. So...
And that's where we were talking about the harpoons actually having a serum in them.
Okay, yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, the harpoons have a serum in them.
So...
I don't know how this works, because it's a harpoon.
It's like a big needle now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but...
Don't question it.
It's like bombs that have, like, impact, where, like, it hits a certain point and it injects. There's, like, a give to it. So it's not like it hits the water and it releases it. There's a resistance.
It has a shark sensor in it?
Yes.
I believe that one more than the other one.
Okay.
That one sounds more scientific to me.
So, I have a side question here.
Mm.
How come in every creature feature where there's an experiment on animals, all of a sudden they have this amazing resistance to all kinds of drugs and all quantity of the drugs that, by the character standards, should kill this creature?
Yeah.
Well, so in this one, it's explained a little bit later because of what they're doing to the shark. I think that's why it's implied. It's because their entire DNA has been altered, technically.
But this happens with everyone. Like, every shark movie where the DNA is altered.
Oh, yeah, no, I know.
I also kind of wonder, though, if, like, someone's just really bad at dosing.
Well, I also think it's a fear factor.
Yeah.
Nothing works on them. Oh, no. We can't protect ourselves with these tranquilizers.
Have they tried Benadryl yet?
No, we also haven't tried to go on land.
That's true. That's a different movie.
Sharkensaw Women's Prison Massacre. Land sharks.
I cannot wait for you to do one on Sharkensaw Women's
Prison Massacre.
I loved that movie. It was beautiful.
I think that is like one of the first movies I talked to you guys about, because once I learned you like shark movies, because that was one of the first movies I watched, or one of the last movies I watched in Nebraska before moving here, because my dad bought it for me for my birthday, because it looked bad.
And I was so upset I had never seen it, because it was beautiful.
It's a good movie to test how deep your friend's shark interest is.
Listen, shut up.
I will say I do have the deepest shark movie interest, because I have watched House Shark and it is fucking garbage.
Well, the only reson I didn't watch it is because you told me about it and I went,
if you hadn't said something, we would have watched it.
Oh, it's so bad. So bad. Yeah, because, that's actually, I watched it because when we were doing Jaws, I was binging shark movies.
Yeah.
That's why I watched it. It's awful.
Yeah.
But, so, other side little bit of interest, there are also a bunch of idiots on this facility, whoever designed this thing, because,
of course they are.
This is this part where I actually wrote down my mako shark knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Other than them being salmon sharks, which is an interesting subgenre of sharks.
Adorable.
Super cute.
All great. The fence is made out of titanium.
Uh-huh.
At 8 foot, it is useless because, according to Shark Insider, mako sharks have been recorded at jumping 20 feet in the air.
Yes, which is why they probably went, we can make a nod to that by saying we have to raise the fence. It's not high enough.
So,
yeah,
I would
fence
say
is not tall enough.
I would say yes and no, because the director does, early on, mention that there are a lot of inconsistencies. And it's fun to point them out, because it makes the movie better.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
but
definitely.
He said, because the commentary came out a little bit after, he's like, we have to make liberties because this is a movie. But so much stuff's come out since this movie came out that there's too much information to go off of. Like, we can't make it scientifically accurate and make it scary.
Yes, and in their defense, this is a detail that, like, if you're really into sharks, you would be like, how far does the shark jump? If you're just a set person, though, fence comes in 8 foot tall segments.
Yep.
Why would you buy 2?
But I also appreciate the fact that they never tell you what the height they raise it to.
I hope it's, like, just another foot.
I was hoping 6 inches. Because I looked at that fence later and went,
it looks
the exact same fence.
Yes, it looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
It is not a 24-foot tall fence.
And so, from this bright open ocean area, we enter a dingy, almost pool-like lab.
Yeah.
Prison-like lab?
It's the subway tiles that really get me in this one. The white subway tiles everywhere.
Mental institute.
It just feels a little bit too much like we squeegee blood regularly.
Mental institution.
Yeah.
They're all living in a mental institution.
Under the water.
Which
sharks.
makes a lot of sense.
Actually, how many sharks have they slaughtered?
That's a good question, because we learn later that we just give sharks other sharks to eat.
No, that's actually not part of it. They don't give it to them to eat. It's just supposed to be like the next subject.
No.
It's eaten because it's...
No. They feed them.
Is it?
With the shark, yeah.
Because it's a big enough thing.
Because you hear the guy being like, it's dinner time, and they let it go.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a common thing with the entire Deep Blue franchise.
Well,
where
what
sharks
else?
eat other sharks.
I think, though, it's partially because Deep Blue Sea fails to, like, acknowledge other giant creatures from the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, what else is big enough to feed my giant shark?
Whales.
Another shark.
Whales don't exist in this
No.
movie. Neither do sunfish, squids,
Seals.
salmon, swordfish.
Nothing.
Just shark.
Goblin sharks.
Oh, no.
Yeah. One also little bit I like about this movie, and I've been going down through like this techno horror backlog of like Japanese horror flicks.
I
Like,
expect no less.
Okay,
Like
you said techno horror. I thought you said techno shark horror, and I was like,
There's
how
a
did I
new
miss the genre?
We need
I-
to make that
I
genre.
am sure there's a movie like that out there.
I need to find
I
it.
think it's Austin Powers.
Yeah.
Oh,
Kind of.
never
I mean-
mind.
My mind's just been like mainly One Missed Call and Dark Water, that kind of stuff. But I love the advanced imaging that they get with a floppy disk that's supposed to store all the animations.
Did you also love that floppy disk, even though it was out of the computer, remembered where she was in the middle of reading and scrolled straight to it?
Yeah,
Oh.
science.
I miss that technology so much.
Right?
It definitely did that.
God, what was it? My mom was asking me if she could get a external floppy disk to like convert all her papers and stuff back to it. And like I picked up the floppy disk and it's like 255 kilobytes. And I'm like,
you write 5 words.
250 characters there.
Oh,
Yep.
One tweet.
Yeah. And so, the head of the experiment, who, still doesn't have a name yet,
Yeah.
and, Whitlock, the dude pissing in the wind, are discussing the experiment and that they're months ahead of the trials.
Yes. They are so ahead of schedule that it's making me upset.
At this time, Russell is asking the shark wrangler, how he ended up there, because he did a little sleuthing. He knows he's a convict and that he's on
And
parole.
we don't hire convicts on this rickety barge in the middle of the ocean.
Well, not that necessarily that we don't hire convicts. He's like, are you going to cause issues for me?
Yeah, which, okay, great, but also like...
It's a stupid ass
It's
part.
a stupid ass part.
Yes. And now we cut, to a character who doesn't have much of a point in this movie, besides comic relief.
Which is the most important part in this movie.
I would agree.
Preacher.
Yep.
Preacher, also known as LL Cool J.
Who is, cooking with an asshole parrot, which is where I got the idea to do the wine. Not the wine in the water, which...
Which would have made more sense.
No, we learned that the cook is named Preacher, because he's also a preacher. He has an asshole parrot, but he is...
Who is named Bird.
Who is named Bird. And I don't know where Bird's dirty mouth came from, but boy, Bird doesn't say a nice thing in this entire movie.
Nope.
Yeah. But I do actually, so I like this part in the movie too, because even though he's kind of there, he is the character of worry. Okay, here's who he makes me think of. Everyone may hate him in Star Wars. Jar Jar Binks.
Mm-hmm.
I rewatched, hear me out for a second. I hate Jar Jar Binks in every other scene in this movie besides this one scene. When he, Obi-Wan, and Qui-Gon Jinn are stuck in the bottom of that lake or ocean, Qui-Gon is sitting there and he's like, the Force will guide us. Your sub just went out of power. Jar Jar is the only one freaking out. LL is the only one who actually has any sense in this movie. Kind of.
But he's also, when you said worrier, to me, that meant he's the only character you actually worry about.
That is also true.
No,
He's the only one I care about.
He is the entire movie. I'm more concerned about his safety than anyone else's.
No,
That's because LL Cool J, despite there being a pet bird, we don't really care much about the pet bird because we know it's a decoy.
Speak for yourself.
We know that pet bird's a decoy from the beginning. LL Cool J performs the role of the puppy in the movie.
Yes.
He is the animal we wish lived. Not saying that he is one, but he provides the role of the cute dogs that you don't want to die.
Yes.
He doesn't add anything to this movie. He doesn't add any dialogue to this movie. But god damn it, if this man dies, I will cry.
It is the Yorkie?
Yeah.
That was in the Meg.
This is the Meg Yorkie.
I would have been okay with that dog dying.
Listen.
Princess deserved better.
Princess deserves so much better.
What was it? I saw some recent art poster of the Meg where, like, that dog is the cover of the poster.
Yeah, that was the whole movie.
Yeah.
But what I was saying is, the reason I like this part in him is because he's the one who's kind of a little worried, because he's the one who starts looking out the window. And this is where I started thinking of, like, the facility and stuff.
Yeah.
So also to give a deeper feeling to the set, the outside of the windows were they had a board painted just a little bit beyond them. So that way it could feel deeper.
Yes.
So that way it's just not like however far the tank is, it's a deeper color in it. It's to give more of a feeling of isolation. Now, the director Harlan originally wanted the fish outside the window, but the fish were too expensive.
Surprise.
Yes.
They're in one scene.
They
used it for dramatic effect in one scene.
There are a few fish. They are not on everyone.
It's when she is in her room.
Yes.
And
those are
the feeling that I'm being washed, and she turns around and the fish scatter.
Yes.
Yeah, that is right.
There's a couple fish, but they are not.
But those are the only fish.
Yeah.
But I like that though, because that is kind of one of my complaints about normal shitty shark movies, is the amount of fish that surround the deep water, middle of nowhere shark facilities is always like coral reef level fish.
Yeah.
I like that this one had nothing in the ocean.
No, it makes sense.
It feels more scary.
Yes.
Yeah, because what was it? I was watching, it was some random thing that was suggested to me on YouTube. It was a fish biologist, and I don't know how this shit got sent to me, or suggested to me. It was a guy rating some random video about Megs could still exist, and then the guy brought up the line of, like, only 15% of the oceans have been explored, and the guy's response is great. He's like, yeah, because the rest of the ocean has jack shit in it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, is there stuff to find? Yes. But, like, something would have been... we would have had, like, a hint.
Yes.
I like this one, because maybe... Like, these aren't Meg-size creatures. These are smaller.
Depends on the scene.
They didn't get that big. But still, like, these ones, supposedly contained, we're far away, there is no other animals. It is scary. Even the fish don't come here. Because it's deep sea. Which is terrifying. No, thank you.
It's the ocean. No, thank you.
I send so much ocean stuff to Mark, because I follow a lot of nature stuff on Instagram, but, like, all the ocean stuff is like, fuck the ocean.
Yes.
The ocean's goddamn terrifying.
Because fuck the ocean.
But it is also a delicious place that we must explore. Everything in there tastes good. Shrimp, delicious. Calamari, so good.
Technically,
Fish,
they eat sea cucumbers. Sea cucumbers.
Yeah.
I think the only one that I don't think I've ever heard anyone try eating it, the hagfish.
That's because we just aren't brave enough yet. Watch, it'll be delicious too.
Mm-hmm.
All covered in that slime, which... I'm sorry you guys have to deal with my AC being out. I am a slimy boy today.
It's okay.
It's okay, I'm sitting on the other side of the room. You're the one who's in the crossfire, Chris.
It's alright. I'll be alright.
I am finally radiating heat like Philip. And so, the doctor is called Dr. Woman, who's still, I don't think she's ever even been given a name just yet. She does have a name, it just hasn't been brought up yet.
Dr. Bitch Lady.
She is called, this is where she's given her name. Dr. McAllister.
Dr. Bitch McAllister.
Is called to the surface because...
Which doctor lady? Who are we talking about?
The one who spends 90% of her time with her swimsuit half
No. That is Deep Blue Sea 2.
Oh.
3.
No, that is 2. You haven't seen 3 yet.
I have seen 3.
You have?
I did.
Yes.
Yep. No, I saw the scene in 2 with it down and I went, that's why. That does
warmth.
nothing for you.
Well, this woman then
Anime
wears
plot.
a very low cut shirt the entire movie.
No, hers is always up.
It's always up.
The cover of Deep Blue Sea would beg to differ. Them titties.
Oh, that's only at one point is she wearing that. And that's in the scene where she strips down to her underwear.
Yeah, they took a very specific cut from it.
Yes.
I see.
Yes.
Well, I will continue to call her Bitch Boss McGee.
I was going to say, for some reason, I keep thinking the blonde is also a doctor, and I don't know why. So I keep getting confused.
I don't know if she works there.
Yeah, what is her point?
She's a marine biologist.
That's what it is.
And she's in love with the male doctor, and they're always together for the most part.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's where that is.
Again, horrible with names. No idea who we're talking about.
Yes.
Yes.
So Dr. Bitch is called to the surface as a situation has arisen, but it is really her surprise birthday party.
Oh.
Which was the stupidest thing ever.
Okay.
I appreciate that they waited for 90% of the crew to leave so they wouldn't have to give everyone cake.
Yes.
I mean, that's fair, but why?
Well, okay, so I know exactly why, and there was actually a lot from this scene cut. Which,
Yes.
odd little bit of the DVD commentary. This is the first DVD, and I've only stumbled across 2 so far, because our next movie also has deleted scenes with commentary from the director.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which was very helpful.
Yeah, it actually really was, because there's a lot of... the reason this scene exists is solely for character building moments. To give us that little bit of...
Yeah, we were
give a shit about this character.
Yeah.
See, it didn't work.
Because it was cut.
Yeah, I'd like to see the deleted scenes.
You would, because I also was in the same position. Because I've seen this movie several times as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't seen the deleted scenes until yesterday. But with the deleted scenes left in and the explanation put on as to like how they were going to incorporate that scene into the film,
Yeah.
she's still a CEO bitch, but she feels more like a boss bitch as opposed to just like
A bitch?
a bitch.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you're like, okay, I get it, but these scenes are cut because A, that's the quote-unquote boring part of the movie, and like, the people above the director don't want to waste the money that they spent on that explosion earlier.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've already blown it up.
Mhm.
Keep that in the movie.
Yes.
So now we have a weird dynamic.
Yeah, well, one thing I do like that they kept in as well, because they do explain some of the scientific research and stuff that's going on, about how they made the brain bigger and how the experiment works a little bit.
Yes.
And that they definitely didn't go against the scientific conventions or the Chimera policy. But there's also a small character building moment between Preacher and Jackson's character.
Yeah.
Where, and it's very small, but I kind of like it because instead of them just kind of camaraderie in movies
Just
of being
bonding
two
immediately?
black guys, Preacher sets the boundaries of like, you're that dude who got caught up in the avalanche. A lot of us are still dying in different ways. You're dying like a white dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was definitely, and it gave Preacher more of a backbone than what he has for the rest of the movie.
No, I appreciated that interaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't, the rest of it.
Yeah.
They tell you about the experiment? Guess what? I don't remember any of that. I didn't even know they talked about it.
Yeah,
I've
it's-
seen this.
A little bit.
It's very small. It's the biologist chick and the dude pissing in the wind who are kind of.
I figured
bringing it
who
up
was
to
talking
him.
about it, yeah.
And then there's a little bit of romantic interest or
It's
dialogue between.
so minor.
Well, and so I will chalk this part up to the editing process and how they altered the end of the movie, which I'll get into that towards the end. And so during after this, the shark wrangler also begins explaining that the shark patterns are changing because he ends up going down to like wrangle them, and he sees them hunting in a pack.
Which, according to
No,
this
this
movie...
is not when he talks about that.
No?
No. At this point in the movie, he's telling her about how it got out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and she's like, have you told Mr. CEO? Do not. Do you like your job, sir?
And he's like, yeah, I guess I like my job.
Are you threatening me, though?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because
That's
this
what that
is
scene is, yeah.
this is her power move.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
The pack one is later.
Okay.
Not much later, but it is later.
All right. And so now we actually have the storm incoming. Cool shot, by the way.
Yeah.
I still think this one holds up. And I like that the director Harlan mentioned that Titanic created a water program, but Deep Blue Sea created a storm system.
Which does sound really fancy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for the early 90s.
Yeah.
Or, sorry, this is late 90s, or almost 2000s.
Yeah.
And so, Dr. McAllister and, Dr. Bitch, learned that, we also learned the Shark Wrangler's name finally. No, scratch that. We did learn it when he was introduced. I forgot.
Still don't know his name.
Asshole McGee.
But,
Shark Boy.
Shark Boy.
I like Shark Boy. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah, let's go with Shark Boy.
Shark Boy and Shark Bitch.
Shark Boy and Shark Bitch.
I like it.
And so, we get a little bit of her putting a key around her neck as a lab prepares for the experiment, which, this lab was actually set over a 20 or 30 foot tank.
Fancy.
Pretty deep.
Mm-hmm.
Also, of note, Samuel L. Jackson is not in many of these shots because he, weaseled his way out of them to go golfing. He's like, do I really need to be here? Like, I'm just observing. I can be just off camera over there.
I'm just standing behind that pillar.
Yeah.
Over there.
So yeah, he's gone most of this scene because of that.
I
That's
can't
hilarious.
blame him because later on, the amount of just torrential downpour they put that man through.
Yeah. Also, I know she said she'll give them results in 48 hours, but who the fuck decides to do an experiment in the middle of the night with a skeleton crew?
Yeah, this feels like
And I'm pretty sure it
bad
wasn't
idea.
48 hours. I'm pretty sure it was 24.
Yeah. Either way, this is bad planning and management skills.
That's how the time feels in the movie. She says, I'll give you results in 48 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So, which...
Bad choices.
Odd timing of this movie, because theoretically this movie takes place across 2 days.
Which feels too long.
Yes.
Yeah.
But also it only feels like 24 hours.
Yeah,
If
really.
that. And so, all the while, the other sharks begin denying physics by swimming
Yes.
backwards, which they do mention.
That was when they were doing the pack.
Yeah, because
Yes.
that's when he actually sees them hunt the...
Yeah, it's the pack formation then.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
And so, Carter ends up, they also begin taking out the cameras and the lights, and they begin to hunt Carter, who's the shark wrangler.
Yeah,
I
Because-
Shark
love
Boy.
that sharks that have been kept in the water have learned surveillance
I was
systems.
gonna say, I love the fact that these sharks know what a camera is and are like, it's watching me.
It's
Yeah.
watching me, and also if I take it out with this specific angle, it will look so dope.
Yeah.
At least it doesn't have that part in Deep Blue Sea 2 where, like, the shark's just chilling there outside the
Just
window watching them.
eavesdropping.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Can clearly not even just see and sense through walls, but can hear through walls.
Yeah.
I think it learned to lip read from behind.
Yeah, for sure. It's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I'm convinced that these sharks have telekinesis at this point.
Which would make sense later on, actually.
And
Because-
telepathy and all of that.
Yeah.
I guess telepathy is the word, not telekinesis. They're not moving doors.
They get close.
They're running into them.
Yeah. I mean, technically moving doors.
Listen.
And, I mean, your body's controlled by your mind, so...
I would like to think
So
that this is...
does that mean we're all telekinetic?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
With
like
our
this.
own bodies.
Well,
That
I'll
works.
take it.
And so, Carter does knock out a shark. How he gets it back to the loading platform from the ocean,
What they don't tell us is that Carter's actually a mermaid.
I guess. I mean, he is Shark Boy.
This is Shark Boy, and he can just telepathic the shark over there.
Now, he turns into a shark when you're not paying attention.
That
That's how it happens.
That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
He has to take off the wetsuit.
That-
Just full, swimming buck naked in
Yep,
the water.
That's why they can't show it.
And now the real experiment begins, and we have some solid practical effects.
We do.
This shark was an animatronic, and according to someone on IMDb...
Hi, Charlie.
They actually figured this out. The description of the Mako is 4 times the weight and 3 times that, or 3 times the length of the largest Mako shark, as well as double the size of the largest great white shark.
This is a big-ass shark.
Yeah.
That is also a robot.
Except when you're looking at it from certain angles, in which case you're like, that's like a 10-foot shark.
I will give him this,
Yeah.
though. In this scene where it's in the dock, since they used a practical, actual robot, stays pretty good the whole time.
Not from the aerial.
The aerial
the aerial one where it's supposed to be like, yes, it only looks like it's maybe 15 feet.
Yeah, it looks a little small.
Yeah. But from every other angle,
giant shark.
Only a 15-foot shark. Only.
Listen, we know they can get up to be bigger than that.
Yeah, I know. It's just...
I know, the idea of just, it's only 15 feet.
And so much of this experiment doesn't make sense, but great success for the experiment, but lo and behold...
You just drop some shark juice on that brain. There you go.
The drugs that didn't work from the first time still don't work.
But they worked briefly.
They work better sometimes.
Yeah.
Enough for the shark to have its brain poked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because, but this man standing next to it,
petting it,
talking to it,
it's like your pet dog at the vet. You gotta stroke it and be sure that it feels calm and confident.
Oh, yeah.
That's what's keeping it asleep. He stopped petting it. That's why I woke up.
That makes a lot. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I agree.
That makes more sense than the drugs to me.
I forget that dogs like to be pet and fall asleep. Whereas,
this is why dogs don't like you.
Well, Charlie
it's
wakes
not
up
a dog.
when I pet him. I know, I'm not around dogs enough.
I don't know what's wrong with your cats, but my cats like to be pet to sleep. Specifically Keely.
Yours, that's not a cat either.
Keely is... I don't know what Keely is, okay?
No.
Closest thing I can call him is a cat.
Yeah. No, he's that demon from that new show, Disenchantment.
I haven't watched it.
You need to.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Keely.
Is it Keely?
It's Keely.
Okay. But even Mimi will fall asleep.
Mimi's a cat.
But Mimi's a bitch.
Mimi's a proper cat.
Then what is Charlie?
I don't know.
So Nico is not the cat whisperer. He's just a weird creature whisperer at this point.
No, I treat him like he treats Hobbs, so...
There you go.
Yeah. But, so this shark bites off Whitlock, the pissing doctor's arm, which...
Using practical effects.
Yes, which is a great shot, too.
It really is. They did such a good job.
Shark Boy goes to get his shotgun to kill the shark, but McAllister lets the shark go, and now the sharks have a taste for human blood. One thing I do actually think is interesting about this point is that there's this thought that when animals get a taste for human blood, it's not just because we're easy targets, it's because our blood is saltier than most animals, so like, even if they're desperate and they do get us, they have that taste and they're like, oh, I get more salt from this. It's like us eating a potato chip versus eating a regular ass potato.
I like your theory. However, because it is Shark Week, I've been watching the new Shark Week stuff, and they've proven that sharks have a taste for fish blood.
Yeah,
they really like fish.
Yeah.
I know, I'm just trying to add logic to it.
Don't bring logic into this shark movie.
Are you saying that that's why he grabbed the shotgun? Is because?
No, I'm just saying comedically the sharks have a taste for human blood now.
Oh.
He grabbed the shotgun because they have no protocol for what to do when the shark bites someone at this facility.
But they do, there's a button.
They didn't push the button, did
no,
they?
she does to release it.
But the button was on the other side.
Again, bad protocol.
Okay.
Why there wasn't two buttons?
Bad design. That sums up this movie really in a nutshell. Bad
Just
design.
One. There's only one. One way in, one button.
That's the problem.
Yeah, because a chopper is called to evacuate the doctor, but
it's a storm outside.
Yeah, because while the storm is a brewing, the chopper is leaving and the cable fucks up and drops the doctor, who is grabbed by a shark that causes the helicopter to crash into the tower, killing your favorite character.
Yeah.
And somehow blows up the fuel tanks and the helicopter and the plane that could have potentially gotten them off.
But it only blows up the top level.
Yes.
Because that's how...
Nothing happened below.
Blast
it was
guards.
all... What?
Blast guards.
Yeah,
apparently.
But...
Well, I mean, World War II bunker.
Yeah.
Fair.
This is what they were aiming for.
I never understood it. I never understand it when they're underwater like that and they blow up the top and it's like, there should be so much more happening than just fire up there.
No. There is not... Okay. I've got a stupid explanation for this.
I love stupid explanations.
There's nothing underneath them or nothing below that actually needs fuel. There's no subs. There's just the planes and the boats on top. It's only for surface level use.
Yeah, I'll go with it for this round.
And I guess you could logic that there's nothing really combustible because it's all...
concrete.
metal and concrete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess.
Okay, sure.
Reasons. But part of the scene, so it was actually some of the last shots of the film because they blew up the set for real instead of using miniatures.
Dope.
Perfect.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's great because, like, that saves money. You already built the set, so you don't have to build the miniatures.
We already got to demo it.
Yeah.
And
the explosion looks cooler.
It does. It looks really cool.
On top of that, this is the scene where it was supposed to be safe, but people were getting knocked left and right by the waters and almost being dropped into the tanks.
Yeah, so they have these big buckets that drop water to make it look like the ocean is splashing onto the boardwalks. And someone, nobody knows who, accidentally dropped the really big bucket of water on the actors instead of next to them. Whoops.
That would explain the fumbling.
Yeah, there was multiple comments on, we thought we were going to die, but it looked really good on screen.
Yes.
That's why there seemed like there was more water than there should have been in that scene.
Yes. And despite the destruction, the sharks are not done yet, as the doctor is still alive somehow and smashed into the deep sea glass that is apparently pretty easy to fracture.
Yeah, because it doesn't just, like, poke a hole like some of them do. No, the
spider
whole webs.
Yeah.
And I like that a man attached to a board, and I don't know if you guys have gotten to play with those. I used to do lifeguarding, so I've gotten to play with the board that they put people on and strap them to.
Yeah, no, I play with those on the weekend. No, I've not played with one.
If you can get your hands on one, they are a lot of fun. They float.
How do you play with one of those?
You strap your friend to it, and then you push them in the pool. And they float.
This explains a lot about you.
Look, Lifeguard Olympics were a real event. We took them very seriously.
Why was I never invited?
Because it was at like 11 p.m.
I would have still come and watched.
How is this Olympics? Like,
oh, we had more events that we had to compete in.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was we got 4 people on the like hot dog tube that lifeguards have. You have 4 people sitting on that, scooshing our way across the pool, turn around and scoosh our way back.
I have heard about that one, yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of events. None of them involve saving anyone.
Which, by the way, this was all in college.
Oh, yeah.
okay. I was curious because,
No, this is what I do in the free time.
well, no, I'm just curious because, like, Chris has brought so much weird Midwest shit to my attention.
Oh, that's very possible that that's also one of them.
No, this is not weird Midwest stuff. This is weird middle of Kansas at a college.
Yeah.
With nothing to do but swim.
There wasn't that many kids at the pool, let's be real.
Like.
But I've got my hand on one of those boards, and they don't just kind of float. Like, a 300-pound person would start to get that board underwater, but they would still float. This shark is not just pushing them vertically through the water, like...
Horizontally?
Horizontally through the water, which is already not going as fast as possible. He then launches him. He should, at best, go dunk. And then, like, bob to the top.
Or, at the least, as he was being projected, started going up.
Yes. So somehow these sharks have fully defied physics and are making this man into a projectile that can break the glass.
He's just compressed into the glass, and that's why he's stuck there. There's just like that little bit of an indent, like Wile E. Coyote.
Floating up slowly. That's what should have happened, but that's not as cool.
No.
Yeah.
Much funnier, though.
It would be.
Just the... as he goes up.
That would have made it like... That sounds like some Monty Python shit. So one thing actually about this that I still think is great is that the glass was added in later. And so that whole part is CGI.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Well, I'm glad they didn't just throw it at a glass wall.
It's not like it's a set that they built in the glass. All of it is CGI.
Okay.
And the chunk that actually flies out is not CGI. That is a giant chunk of glass that the director off camera threw at Samuel L. Jackson's feet.
This sounds very safe.
And so, as the lab begins to flood, everyone left alive escapes with the aid of so much slow motion. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie.
This water's moving hella slow.
So slow.
I mean, it is scary. I'll give them that. It's a lot of water coming in. And if you had that weird fear of being stuck under the ocean with water coming at you, spooky.
Not just spooky. I would have pissed my pants. I'm not even gonna lie. I'd be dead out of fright.
I am still having aftershocks of hatred because slow-mo during like heavy action bits was killed for me by Battlefield Earth.
I can understand. Yeah.
So much goddamn slow motion in that movie.
There's a lot of slow motion in this movie.
There is, yeah, it's too much.
It's a lot of very slow-moving water with people walking way too fast.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of people just doing their stuff, we cut to the chef who is doing his thing.
I like how there isn't, like, a break glass alarm on this giant glass for the whole building to be like, on fire, run! He's just in there being like, why are we shaking? What are we doing in here?
Right?
Yeah, because also with this bit, the director commented that of the entire cast, LL Cool J complained the least about being in the water. Like,
in fact, he
if
seemed
at
to be
all.
having a good time.
Yeah, exactly.
I
love it.
And he was one of the only ones.
Yeah.
Good job.
Because we cut to everyone else who got away from the flood being safe, just kind of walking around. And then we cut back again to Preacher as he's walking through the halls, and he begins to see flooding. The bird flies off, and we begin to hear creaking as Preacher is flushed away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Bye.
They just hit him with water.
Yeah.
He was a good sport.
I bet. He would have had to have been.
And then we, after this, cut right back to the other group who is, as they're walking along, are hearing stuff being busted. They're freaking out. How are we going to get out? Bolts begin hanging.
Just, they're just hanging from the ceiling now.
Yes.
Like little bats.
I mean...
Kinda.
Friction hanging, maybe.
Rude.
But they begin...
Your cat is attacking me.
You're welcome.
Rude.
Yes, he is very rude.
Wow. Ow. I'm gonna get you.
But as they're walking along, the bolts begin busting out through the walls, and they proceed to slip and slide through these rivets, just bouncing around the entire hallway.
Did anyone else have a question on whether or not anyone got hit by one of these big ol' rivets going at the speed of a bullet?
It was perfectly timed.
They all dodged them?
They all dodged them.
Like I said,
I mean, we've already established that they move strangely fast.
That's true.
Against this water, so I'm thinking...
Yeah, they just matrixed their way through that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Because they all get back to their safety hatch. But now... the sharks have entered the facility.
Dun.
And we cut back to Preacher, who is safe. Who is wandering lost and is bleeding from the skull.
He's doing his best.
And we again cut back because this movie is all over the goddamn place.
It really is.
We cut to the president of the board, Samuel L. Jackson, pointing out the absurdity of the situation we're in.
I appreciate, though, that as a CEO, he immediately went, there is tomfoolery afoot, explain.
Yes. But also at the same time, it's a brief moment of reprieve for this movie. It's in there for pacing, and it's also to establish that McAllister's kind of a dickhead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciated it.
Because now the sharks are smarter because they needed to get more sample material, and they willingly violated the Harvard Genetic Compact, which, as far as I could find, is made up for this movie.
I was gonna say, I feel like if that was a real thing, more shark movies would have violated it.
Yeah.
On purpose.
Yeah, and McAllister is pushed through as just using the CEO as a way to get money.
Okay, I understand that
or not just him, but all of them.
All of them.
And, like, I can understand that, like, that's supposed to be seen as, like, this shitty move, how dare. But at the same time, like, everyone signed this agreement together. I feel like...
But I also feel like not everyone did.
No, there's...
Yeah.
Shark Boy did not sign up for this.
I'm not convinced Shark Boy's hired. I think they might be holding him hostage.
I think so, too. So, I understand why he's upset.
And Preacher's probably not getting paid what he could be, but, like...
But he's there. He's having a good time.
He's having a great time.
Yeah.
Shark Boy is being paid under the table.
That explains a lot.
Yes. Or that's my theory.
Yeah.
Getting paid in chef's cake.
Ooh, I'd like to get paid with that. Man looks like he could bake a really good cake.
That cake looked great.
Right?
There's a deleted scene where they bitch about the cake.
Yeah. Yeah. Specific, not Shark Boy, the engineer dude.
Engineer
nerd.
A guy with now dead but no arm. Bitched about how the cake...
No. It's the other guy.
Oh, the other... Yes. Nerd
yeah,
guy.
nerd guy.
Nerd guy bitched about how the cake was not very good.
Yeah.
Everyone else liked the cake, though.
So it's just him.
Just him.
And while everyone else is freaking out, CEO's doing pretty well to all this shit.
Yeah.
I mean, he's handling it well.
Yeah.
It's a little concerning.
And we now gotta get into Preacher. Again, this part of the movie is all over the goddamn place because...
But we gotta check in on Preacher.
That is literally what we're doing. Yeah. We gotta check in on the man, make sure he's not dead, because let's be real, that's who I care about.
That's all I care about.
Because now he is wandering through the hallways while being pursued by the shark, and we have another example of creature vision. Our second movie back-to-back that has creature vision.
I kind of hate this creature vision.
I do too.
Yes.
It is lazy.
It's not just lazy, but also, like, it doesn't scream shark vision to me in any way. Does that make sense?
It screams jumping into the pool without goggles trying to see in the water as a kid.
It screams of drunk goggles.
It does. And I feel like it would have been justified if at some point they had mentioned the sharks' like actual like science abilities. Like, sharks don't see well because they sense everything with their nose. Not completely true. Sharks can see perfectly fine. But like...
I have an explanation.
Let's hear it.
We talked about the alcohol in the very beginning. The
They're
sharks are alcoholic.
They are alcoholic sharks that... Okay. If they had just said that we got
drunk.
them all hooked on booze.
And that's why he's pursuing Preacher, because Preacher was drinking wine and drunk on the job, and so he is smelling the booze on his...
That's why he's going
his
forward.
person.
There we go.
Okay, now the shark vision, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Drunk shark vision.
But only because the shark is drunk.
And now we cut back to the main party as they plan to go to this... They have a sub, and it's more of a submersible. But they are still concerned about the sharks escaping, because once they get to the sub room, they find that the sub has busted. Fun fact about this set, it is cantilevered over a 40-foot tank. Hella creepy.
Very.
No, not at all.
Also, the sub is the same sub from the 1998 film Sphere, that also stars Samuel L. Jackson.
He just carried it around with him.
It's a souvenir he took. And was like,
Pretty
hey guys,
much.
I got exactly what you need.
Yes.
Okay, and at this part of the movie, as designers, did you not get to the part where you went, why is there only one goddamn exit to this fucking building?
I reached that point a long time ago.
I did too, but when we got to the bottom, I was like, really? We don't have scuba equipment down here?
No.
We don't have tanks down here properly? We don't have another sub? Nothing?
I have answers. World War II construction. Old-timey construction
I
where...
hate that you're right.
Yes.
But at the same time, it bothers me.
How much asbestos is in this goddamn building?
I don't even want to think about it.
Too much. But what I hate is I'm not allowed to update some paint on a building without updating the bathroom and the exits. And you're telling me that they put an entire shark facility in here and no one was like, excuse me, can you at least put a ladder on the outside?
I was going to say, Ocean never showed up.
Ocean never showed up.
Offshore facilities.
Listen.
I'm never working on one of those. You might die.
No. Because fuck the ocean.
Yeah.
Oh god, what was it? Like just last week, a pipe burst in like the Gulf and like
the ocean was on fire.
Yeah.
No, the ocean's on fire.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fuck
creepy
the
as
ocean.
shit.
You know what? Now we have fire water.
Yeah, that would explain this movie.
Yeah.
This movie made that.
That movie did make that.
And from here, we cut back to the chef who is trying to hide in the kitchen because he thinks he's outmaneuvered the shark. You do see through the glass that the shark kind of swims away, but...
Surprise!
The shark has re-entered as he's trying to coax the bird away as the bird freaks out, drops a bunch of pots, and begins insulting him, saying, "Eat me, asshole."
Mm-hmm.
Adorable.
As he's eaten. Which
Yep.
I would assume is the same stuff Charlie says to me, but it's more of a, "Feed me, asshole."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, all of LL Cool J's dialogue before the shark attack was improvised.
Good for him. I really feel like he nailed this role.
Yes.
Yeah. It is just LL Cool J in this movie.
Yeah, this is just LL Cool J, the movie.
Yeah. Also, the preacher hides in the oven, very much so like the kids in Jurassic Park hiding in the cubbies.
Yes. I like how in one of the commentaries, or maybe it was an interview, LL Cool J found it really ironic that the cook is being cooked in his own oven.
Yes.
Yeah. He really liked that part.
It's a line in the movie itself.
Yes.
He's like, "Isn't this ironic?"
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, while he's in peril, Because, yeah, that's right. The shark starts attacking him, and then the oven turns on at this
Yeah,
part.
because,
Yes.
now sharks can turn on ovens.
To
I
be
know it was accidental,
Yeah.
but now sharks can turn on ovens.
Yes.
Because he's a drunk shark, and we all get those hungry drunk munchies.
And that's why you shouldn't have gas if you're going to be drunk all the time. Hard to keep that lit. Might accidentally kill yourself.
Yeah. This is actually a public warning, if anything.
Don't turn your gas oven on and put a person in it.
Yep.
Also, maybe don't give your shark alcohol.
Yeah, don't give your shark alcohol.
Alcohol.
And so, in the subroom, it's brought up that they could swim out. And Russell begins to take command. But then we cut back to the kitchen, where Preacher is... Someone gets out of the oven. He cuts through the top of it, which is very flimsy for...
An oven?
An oven?
I agree.
Yeah, I mean...
Their ovens don't do that?
I don't know.
I don't know. I've never actually looked up, like, the building of an oven, because it feels like it's a very flimsy
It's way
sheet
too
metal.
thin.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be able to just...
Well, especially since this is a double stack oven. If this was just like ye old standard apartment oven, I would give it
Maybe.
some way, because I'm pretty sure those are made out of spit and some tin
Yeah,
foil.
but this is a commercial...
This is a nice oven. Yeah, but, I mean, when a shark's coming to get you, you do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So he makes it, he weasels his way through like Hansel and Gretel in the witch's oven.
I don't think they ever make it into the oven, Chris.
Depends on what version you read.
No, that's true.
In the original, I think Hansel does get baked.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he gets out, and he blows up the shark as it comes for him.
I appreciate that much gas filled the kitchen, and he didn't die.
Yeah.
And gets blown away.
It was just the shark.
It looked really cool. As he dives into the water, it looked really cool.
To be fair, he does have burn marks on his forehead.
Yeah.
But that's from him in the oven.
Yeah. I will say, they mentioned it a couple times in the commentary how they tried to be somewhat consistent with the injuries in this show. So, like, Samuel L. Jackson's character is supposed to have frostbite on his ears from when he was in the avalanche. I couldn't tell.
No.
It wasn't obvious enough, I guess.
No.
That or we didn't spend enough time looking at his ears.
Yeah, I guess I gotta go... Next time I watch it, I'm
Next time
gonna
I
watch
watch
his
it,
ears.
I'm gonna just watch his ears. So, I appreciate that we at least got proper injuries as opposed to the standard, like, hold my side and limp around thing.
Yeah.
Do I feel like maybe the cook's back of his head should be really crispy now? A little bit.
But...
Yeah.
Yeah, but, he at least is bleeding a little.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, we now cut back to the group in the submarine area. They are... Russell, the CEO, is very optimistic.
He is CEO in his way to hell.
Yep.
The tech dude is the nerd. Explains that there is another way, but it's a big maybe because there's an elevator shaft they can climb up, and but if they open up that hatch, that room depressurizes. And as everyone begins to argue and the infighting sets in, Russell shuts them up and starts an inspirational speech about how they're going to get out there, about how there was an avalanche, and that how he implies that not all of them made it out, and that just maybe they killed a couple guys.
Yeah, there may have been cannibalism involved.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did it not sound a little cannibalistic?
No,
to you?
it sounded exactly like
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm glad everyone else also got cannibalism vibes and not just like, we murdered them because they argued with us too much.
Yeah.
I didn't get cannibal vibes. I got it argued because it was we kill them or they'll kill us kind of thing.
Ooh.
Not that they're gonna starve. There was just infighting of what to do next kind
No.
of stuff.
Yeah, but if you also look at it, we kill them before they kill us, also implies I'm going to eat you before you eat me.
I mean,
Yeah.
it ties in mostly because of that avalanche crew that actually did eat people.
Yes, that's what I was
That's
thinking
what
of.
I was pulling from.
Saying.
If you
Okay.
haven't looked them up, you should.
Or are you talking about
Fascinating.
the people who crashed their airplane? The soccer team that crashed and they had to eat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Them.
that's it. Yeah, that one. Not an avalanche, but high altitude survival.
Cold.
Yeah.
Death.
But during his great speech, mid-speech, he is eaten by a shark, which is probably the worst moment in the movie, but also the best.
Oh, it is the best death in this entire movie. It is shocking. They don't even get to finish a whole sentence. And we kind of established this character as like, maybe he'll make it.
Yeah. Because at first you're like, he's not.
No,
But he's still alive.
He
so
might
maybe.
he's set up to be that character who sacrifices himself at the end for the good of the cause.
Yeah.
And instead he is just taken off the book right away.
Yep.
No leadership for you fuckers.
Well, Harlan admits that this death was, he pulled directly from Alien's structure. Because the captain in that movie's killed halfway through.
Yeah, it works though.
Yeah, and so with him dead, they're definitely not going into the water, and the nerd now begins to explain that how the structure will begin to fail, as it was not designed to handle the amount of pressure inside.
Mm-hmm.
I call the question a little bit, like, I can understand if, like, maybe the top floors are flooded and the bottom floors aren't, because there's a pressure difference.
Mm-hmm.
But if the pressure's equalized throughout, they can just swim through the entire structure.
Yeah, I feel like this is how... We build a lot of shit in water with concrete.
We can't swim through the structure because there's sharks out there.
That would have been better than the whole structure's collapsing on us,
Yeah,
though.
They don't know this yet, because the only shark they've seen is the one that's in the opening that goes to the open ocean.
Yeah.
The only one who's had to deal with
Preacher's
the
the
shark.
only one.
They are aware of it because of that door earlier on, where they apparently ran like Superman to avoid the
he is
rivets.
knocking down doors. Following them with his
I
senses.
didn't read that as the sharks. I just read that as the facility compressing.
I read
They-
that as a shark.
They talk about it because
They're like, is that them coming? He's like, they're coming to get us.
Well, no.
They're
So
coming
Samuel L.
to get
Jackson's character was like, can a shark do that? Like, can a shark bust down a door like that? And Shark Boy's like, given her size and enough maneuvering room, fuck yeah, she could.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The things people catch that we're not paying attention to.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, so they are aware of it.
That they're potentially in the
Yes.
facility.
Yes.
But the engineer says their only chance now is through the hatch, and so they open it up, and the room begins to flood in a very dramatic manner.
Did you like that the water waited like 3 seconds before it started flooding the room to give them time to be like, oh my god.
Yeah, and to get out.
Yeah.
The water in this movie is real nice.
It is a very polite water.
Poseidon out here is really giving them some leeway.
He really is. Because they also get through the door and then manage to re-close the door.
Okay, so I hated this part only because you have the two men closing the door and both women went, I'm out.
You got this, honey. Go.
Like, all four of you should have stayed. It would have closed so much quicker.
Yeah. I'm impressed they got it closed at all, to be honest
But
with
they
you.
close it with that sure man strength.
I would say this movie
hate
really...
that part.
Yeah. But, they did it. They're not dead, so... Yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But once they're in the shaft, there is fire above and the water is still rising.
Yeah. Did anyone else get Mission Impossible?
Yes.
I've never seen a Mission Impossible movie, so I can't...
Okay, we'll get to it.
Yeah, I know it's one of those ones where I should have seen it by this point.
Well,
I've only seen like one.
I haven't even seen one, though.
Yeah.
We're gonna watch a documentary on how Tom Cruise is definitely a weird cult person now, and then watch Mission Impossible, and that makes it so much more enjoyable.
Yeah, see, the only one I watch is the one that has Jeremy Renner in it because...
Jeremy Renner.
Yeah.
So
So I didn't watch it because of Mission Impossible. I watched it for him.
Fair.
Like,
Yeah.
Not even gonna lie.
I watched the first one because it was really popular when it came out. Loved it. Ended up watching the rest of them because, I watched the first one, so now we're committed.
Yeah, why not?
yeah, that's why I watched all three of these movies.
What, you weren't like me and you were just excited to watch the next one?
I was curious. I wasn't excited.
Oh, I was so excited for the third one. And now I'm excited because you've told me there might be another one.
We're hoping.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I hope there is.
Maybe. But so, now that they've started climbing, the shark is able to enter the area because that's when the flooding really begins.
Yeah, and this giant shark can now fit.
He's just doing circles.
But,
doing real small circles.
Small.
Well, it depends because technically there's 2 generations of sharks at this point.
That's true. There are 2 sizes.
So these are the 2 smaller ones.
That's true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So LL blew up one of the other smaller ones, and then this is the other one.
Which, the size difference still...
It's a big size jump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not even just that, but from the one in the kitchen to the one in the elevator. In the elevator, it's huge.
It is gigantic.
Yeah.
But then when we get into a room later,
It
it's
does
a
fit
normal
down
size
corridors.
short.
Yeah, because this is the one you pulled up where it's like, hi,
Yeah.
have we talked to you about our Lord and Savior Bruce?
Yeah, so see, in that image, he doesn't look that
he
big.
doesn't.
But as you look down there, as him circling,
He's a big shark.
Big ol'
Sometimes.
boy.
sometimes.
Hob-sized
Shape-shifting.
shark.
Knob-sized shark.
We're shapeshifter.
Oh.
As well as a telekinetic, as well as a drunk.
That explains
The entire movie.
Yeah, that explains a lot of the physics going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, oh no, as they're climbing, level 1 is blocked, the one that they were going to get out on. So now they have to, Carter has to go down to level 2 with a, knife and with sheer perseverance try and open that door. But it is still stuck. Side note about the shaft, I do like the effects of it because the shaft is only 40 foot high. They said for safety reasons, but also the sound studio's 45 foot high.
Yeah, I mean, you go as far as you can.
Yeah.
But it was digitally edited to look 150 feet high.
Yeah, I mean, it only
Fair.
looks a little goofy a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you only look up twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Carter barely escapes as the structure now begins to buckle and the ladder falls, and Higgins, the biologist we're introduced into the beginning, falls into the water.
Oh no.
And as they try and save her, she goes down and is eaten by a shark, which this is the most comedic death in this whole damn movie.
Oh my God.
It is, but it is a nice blend of practical effects and CGI, because they did stick her on a robotic shark and dunk her in the water a bunch.
Perfect.
And she was a trooper.
Yeah. I believe it.
She rides the shark's mouth.
They really just buckled her in.
Also, supposedly Carter's hanging is a nod to Cliffhanger in this part.
Haha.
I love how he's just pulling these random little things from movies where you're supposed to see it as an homage to this film.
And nobody
I was
did.
gonna say, I don't know what you're talking about.
The only
I've
one I
never
think.
seen Cliffhanger, so
Yeah, maybe if you had watched it really recently and then watched this movie, you would have seen the connection.
yeah. So Carter now barely escapes. Oh, sorry, that was I was
We already read this part, Grandpa.
Yes. Sadly, they are still trapped because door 1 is now too high out of their reach,
Oh no,
and the shark is still circling below.
it's coming to get him.
But here, there's a knocking at the door.
It's a shark.
But it is not. It is Preacher who is there to the rescue.
Hello, Cool J saves the day.
And somehow finds enough sheets to...
Oh, there's so many. There's no exits in this building. There's no air tanks, but there are sheets galore.
I have a reasoning for that because, as we see in just a little bit, they're on their bedroom quarters.
I like, though, that he managed to go to everyone's room, strip some sheets,
Yeah.
and tie them together.
Listen
Yes.
to the laundry
Well,
room.
they're also not that high up either because, if you look at it, there's only a couple sheets.
Yeah.
The door's just out of reach of them jumping up and grabbing it.
True.
Yeah.
But it would have taken time to get those sheets. So he would have had to get them before the doors open.
Nonsense. This water's moving real slow, remember?
Yeah. Remember, Poseidon is being very nice
This
to
is
them.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah. But their plans are still gone to shit because the stairwell that they were planning to escape through is flooded.
Surprise.
Oh, no.
But the nerd has an idea because there's a pump system that he can unflood that hallway.
Which
And
why
we
didn't...
didn't think of earlier.
Yeah, seriously.
Or why
Also,
isn't it automated?
That's... Yes. Why is... Okay, sprinklers
90s.
and pump systems. Automate that shit.
I will say the 90s.
I guess.
And they, from here, they go to Higgins' room to scour for batteries and flashlights to dive, because in order to get the pump working, they gotta go back into the water and turn on the circuit boards.
Back to where they've already been, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could have done it earlier.
No.
Yeah. Because now, also there's a heartwarming little bit of moment for Dr. Bitch.
Yeah.
Because she has a realizing moment that she needs people and that she shouldn't have looked at them as tools.
And if there had been more about her at the beginning, maybe I would have given a shit. But right now, I do not.
No, not
Yeah.
particularly.
Nope, no shit's given about this woman. Sorry.
There's also a joke in this movie that, or kind of joke that went way over my head as a kid.
Uh-huh.
The engineer asking for the vibrator.
Yeah.
It's
A weird
beautiful.
joke, but also I appreciate how he assumes that she's got one and it's battery operated.
well, this is the 90s. They were like...
True.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, the engineer and the shark boy go to drain the stairwell as a odd little moment where Preacher makes his last will and testament.
I
really
love this
appreciate
man.
it, yep.
This is exactly what you should do in a horror situation, and he was ready.
Yeah.
He had a coming to Jesus moment, and then he was revealing his cooking recipes.
Yes, because that's how you do it.
Yes. And so, in the lab, they are trying to get the pumps running, but a shark eats the engineer and somehow misses Carter.
Yeah, just misses him entirely.
Because Carter is an aqua person. He is a mermaid.
He is Shark Boy.
He is Shark Boy.
He activated his Dead by Daylight reference. He activated his Die Hard, which is a move where you can just jump a little bit out of the way of the killer.
Yeah, he just pushed X at the right time.
Yep.
Yes. Also, I didn't have a chance to look it up or ask any of the electrical engineers we work with if an underwater electrical panel was viable.
In the 90s.
In the 90s.
Or even now, because I don't feel like you could actually waterproof that entire thing.
And you have to open it.
Yeah.
I don't know. All I know is it needs 3-foot radius.
It's very much those levers from Jurassic Park, just sideways.
They were definitely big, chunky to make you feel like you were doing something.
Yep.
Yeah. The other thing I do like about this moment is when the foot twitches.
Yes, the foot twitch was a nice little touch. The decapitated foot floating through the water goes, eh.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, it wiggles. Just a little bit.
Just a little wiggle.
Yeah. And so, during all of this, McAllister, Dr. Bitch, heads off to do some sketchy shit in her own lab room.
Because she came to Jesus and knows she needs people, but also, they already died.
All my research.
Yeah, her work's not gonna go to waste, where she grabs... She's in search for her room. She grabs the floppy disk that's in a plastic bag.
At least she had the foresight.
She
was a Girl Scout.
I'm glad she planned for this.
Somehow the shark chased her into her room.
You found her. Surprise, bitch.
Yeah. And takes his time because there's that little jump scare where the model shark bumps into her.
I kind of liked that because otherwise the model shark would have been really pointless.
Yeah.
No, I appreciated the model shark.
Yeah, because it gives that little moment of when she turns around, it's like, oh, is it the model shark? And then starts thrashing towards her.
Yes.
She then proceeds to get high up, drops down to her skivvies.
Yep.
Because that's what you do when you're faced with a shark. You get naked.
Yeah.
It scares them off.
Because she's using her wetsuit as a
buffer.
Yeah.
Which, didn't Mythbusters do something on that one?
I feel like they have.
And I feel someone's debunked that it wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
but
it's fine.
It's a movie. But she also pulls an entire electrical cable pretty easily out.
She doesn't just pull an electrical cable out. She pulled one that is attached to the concrete wall.
Yeah.
This
woman is live.
And this woman isn't just strong. She is Hulk strong. She can just take the shark.
Yeah.
Punch it. It'd be dead.
Yeah. Because then she uses it to electrocute the shark.
Which does look very cool.
Also her floppy disks fell in the water.
Oh no.
So,
I'm sure if they were shaken off and put in some rice, they'd be fine.
No, they were fried. They were crisp. But you know how they would have survived? Is if she just put them in her boob pocket.
She doesn't have boob pockets. This woman has, bees at best.
She has boob pockets because she's wearing a bra.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she'd have to take a titty out, but, she could do it.
But, it would have been safe. Because no one's going to hurt her boobs in a movie like this.
No, not in this movie. That's what's keeping her alive.
Yep.
Speaking of boobs,
what's LJ up to?
Not up. Talking about women titties, not man titties.
Oh, no. Okay.
In this part, they actually had many options that they came up with to kill the shark, but some executive decided that she had to drop down out of her swimsuit just to add a little bit of sex appeal.
That makes a lot of sense because director-wise, it doesn't really fit with the rest of the movie.
And I don't think the director even wanted it either. And the actress Saffron Burrows was not happy about this choice, and I don't blame her because it was not part of the movie.
Also, they didn't really give her, cute underwear to wear.
No.
It's better than the beige ones, but,
But it was white.
We couldn't have gone with, a white tank top that's now wet. That would have been cute.
Yeah.
As a young boy just hitting puberty when I first saw this movie...
Adequate underwear.
Thank you, directors. It's the same equivalent as a cleavage shot in Pitch Black for me.
Yeah, I mean...
It has its little nostalgia of puberty for me.
Okay, well, just so you know, that those were the wash and day underwear. Those weren't the cute ones that she wears on a date.
Yep.
Guys don't give a shit.
I know.
And so, after killing the shark, the last trio is reunited, and Preacher is a little sad. And honestly, this I kind of hate that they didn't really build up the relationship and they cut those scenes between Preacher and the nerd, because there's a very much, what's the term? Bromance between them.
Yeah.
Where they're constantly giving each other shit, but they really care for each other. And there's that little bit of like, he's really sad that probably his best friend in the movie died.
Yeah. I do appreciate you still get some of that implication, but maybe not as much as you would have.
Yeah.
It at least makes Preacher feel like the Preacher he is. You know? Like he cares.
And I think my issue with a lot of the scenes they cut is that, and normally I don't like harping on the cut scenes because
they're not in the movie.
They're not in the movie, but all the scenes they cut would have added like 5-10 minutes to the movie.
Yeah, they were pretty short.
Yeah.
Bummer.
Yeah. And so, they've decided that they are going to flee through a wet hatch, which, there's some particularly bad dialogue at this portion. I did not write which part was specifically bad, but it is very rough. It doesn't work.
It feels very, like...
forced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, now we shall do the thing. Don't forget to do the thing.
Robotic. That's forced and robotic.
Yeah.
Like he was literally reading it from the script.
Yeah, it feels like it was added very last minute, and no one had time to rehearse.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, speaking of the design of this facility, having an escape hatch that releases right into the shark pen, I feel this was an oversight from them because, one, it's a World War II submarine facility.
Yes.
And the wet hatch was more so for that, not really an escape hatch, just for them to get into the water from below the ship without having to dive down, which just seems really complicated. And it's there.
Yeah, it's there. I feel like if we're going to spend the money on that big glass so we can look at the sharks swimming around, we could afford like a little like air duct tube to go from the hatch.
Retrofit versus new build.
True.
I love that defeated talk because we all do retrofits.
We do, and we know exactly where the budget ran out on this film, and it was with that tile.
Yep.
Yeah. So while they're trying to swim, even with the distraction, Preacher is grabbed by the shark.
Not Preacher!
But he stabs it in the eye with a cross and escapes.
Go, Preacher!
This man has Poseidon's goddamn blessing.
Yeah.
I also appreciate, though, that we do get the suspense that, like, maybe the best character might die.
Yeah.
But he fights back. He proves to us that he is worthy of our love.
And also...
And he didn't really do much.
He stabbed a shark in the eye with a cross.
Yeah, but that was it.
In anime, it would have looked cooler.
It would have looked so much cooler in anime.
Yeah.
Also... is the shark really watching them? Because it feels like the shark got distracted by the fire extinguisher or the oxygen tank that they released. So they brought attention to themselves, and that's why it came for them.
Okay, every shark movie that, for the most part, has the scene where they're like, oh god, the shark's in the water. Everyone swim. And instead of swimming nice and silently with like the froggy stroke or a side stroke or even a nice backstroke, just kind of swooping your way around, everyone goes splash, 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 swim, 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 swim.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Panic.
This is very bad.
But also, this is like the only scene in the entire movie where the shark does a shark thing.
This is a very shark thing.
Yeah.
Reactive bite.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so now that they do get away, they decide to blow up the shark with dynamite. Or with flares with enough gunpowder of, 6 sticks of dynamite or some shit?
I want to know... I didn't look it up. I have questions about these flares. That feels like too much.
I know Mythbusters did do an episode on it, and it doesn't even make, a quarter of a stick of dynamite in a flare.
That's what I was thinking, because I was like, okay, because flare guns are almost always given as, escape emergency things. You wouldn't want enough dynamite on your, raft boat to be like, oh no, it got too hot.
Yeah, because if I remember right, the...
would make floating a lot more interesting.
Boy, would it. Boy, the Midwest would be a whole different place.
Oh.
But it'd also be really close to how it already is.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I was gonna say.
Well, because didn't your neighbors, blow up some tannerite or something across from you?
Yes, they did. They did not let us know. This was like last month.
Okay.
We got to meet our fire marshal and the sheriff.
Good, at least you know him now.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, and like, if we had known, we wouldn't have cared, but we used to live on an army base that practiced artillery, and so we were very used to a schedule of when this was happening, so that way you didn't accidentally walk on the trail that they shot at.
Yes.
So, the fact that it was just going off, we were like, should we know something? The answer was no. The answer was absolutely not.
Yeah. Well, deciding to blow up the shark with flare. Blow it up with flare. It was done as a way to get rid of the villain in the most interesting and creative way.
Yeah.
To be fair, for a shark movie that's somewhat based in realism,
More so than others.
it is more interesting.
I will give it
It
that.
was better than shooting the flare into its mouth and it exploding.
That's true. Because we've established that wouldn't kill it.
Depends on what movie you're watching.
Not in this one.
Not in this one.
Not in this one.
Well, I got a little bit on that. So, Susan sacrifices herself to destroy her creation. Through the entire commentary, the director kind of refers to her as like Dr. Frankenstein, and it's very much the classical Universal's Frankenstein, which
Yes.
I finally saw for the first time.
But see, that was a part of the movie where it's like, to me, her death was pointless. Because you could have stood there and let the blood drip into the water. And it's
she
still
didn't
an
have to
animal.
jump.
She didn't have to jump.
The thing that really got my husband was he didn't understand why she had to jump that far.
You could have just like climbed
Dipped your
down
hand in.
and wiggled it.
Yeah, and like, I don't know, maybe like thrown some chunks of seaweed with blood on it or something.
Drama.
Yeah.
There is a reason. I will get to that in a minute, and it changes the entire movie after this.
Yeah.
So, after this, Preacher is to the rescue because he shoots the shark because Carter and McAllister are dumbasses because Carter thinks he's going to save McAllister by jumping into the water as he watches the shark eat her.
But he forgot to take off all his clothes, so he didn't turn into a mermaid, so he didn't swim fast enough.
Yep.
But he had to be in shot, so they can't show his butt.
That's correct.
They couldn't make this Ghost of Tsushima.
No, that's too much butt.
Scenes.
It's the only part of that video game I've seen.
Yes, I forget that. That's the
There's
only
a
part
scene where you in this video game where your character gets into hot springs and it's Japanese style, so of course you're butt naked. And every time my husband would be like, "Haha, hot springs scene," and I would turn around and just see man ass.
Yeah.
To be fair, part of the reason Sugi doesn't play this on his stream with me is because the co-op mode, I only run around in the Shadow of Colossus mask in like the traditional Japanese underwear.
I love it.
So the Cook shoots the fin and Carter with it.
Whoops.
And the shark is blown to Poseidon cum.
Yes. But don't worry, Carter scrapes himself off the shark with a fence and then gets kind of blown up, but he is Aquaman and is fine.
Yeah, and it didn't actually do anything to his leg, which was very much punctured.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's just a little scrape along the side.
Yeah, that's all it was. He
Yeah.
wasn't even really bleeding.
Yeah, he's fine.
It's not like it just ripped a chunk out of him, because he used the fence to pull it out, essentially.
Yes.
Because the shark kept going.
Yeah. Like, I know there's only so much we can do, but we've already taken a man's arm off in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I would have preferred if there was, like, a nice solid, like, chunk of this man's leg just gone.
Yeah.
Granted, I don't know how we would show that without, like, maybe just, like, making his leg taken off.
More blood?
Yeah, something. I don't know, do the thing where you hold it.
Yeah. Even that.
Because I think he is doing that. He is holding it, like, because he and Preacher are just kind of resting in, like, their last minute of reprieve as the weekend or the weekday crew finally comes in. And, hi, Charlie. And the credits roll over as the end song theme plays of Deepest Bluest, parentheses, Shark Fin, performed by LL Cool J. Which
it is exactly as bad as you think it is. I love it.
I looked up the lyrics because I couldn't figure out like the lyrics for it. It's that part of it. It's specifically, so it goes deepest bluest. My hat is like a shark's fin.
Yes.
I couldn't understand him saying hat.
He, for the music video, because I know you didn't watch it.
Oh god, no.
There's a music video?
There's a
Yes.
music video. For the music video, he wanted to have quote-unquote shark eyes for part of the music video, which means the black contact lenses. But as anyone who does cosplay knows, those things are a bitch to get in your eye. And so there's a lot of footage of him, like, standing there, like, wiping tears out of his all-black shark eyes, being like, my eyeballs.
Uh-huh.
I found because unfortunately TikTok has invaded Instagram as well. I saw a video of a chick trying to take it out because she had long nails and she couldn't get them.
Oh, no. You gotta use that suction cuppy thing.
She had the hard contact kind, too.
Oh, nope.
Yeah.
You gotta get a friend to help you with that.
No, I always clip my nails if I have to do it. Contacts.
Nope. Yeah. Oof.
So,
stuck in there forever.
So, speaking of her stupid ending...
Mm-hmm.
Wait, back up. We were talking about his leg.
Oh. Well, no, he's holding it.
Yeah.
No, because he gets out and they're...
You do see it.
Yeah.
And then he lays on the ground and is like, my leg. Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, because he's sitting there with his feet in the water.
Yeah, they're both being dumb.
Yeah.
Well, no, Cool J isn't. His feet are up there. Because that's the part where LJ, he goes, are you sure there were only 3? And he just very casually pulls his legs up and turns to the side. So he's not even injured.
He's not hurt that bad. No. Fucking Aquaman.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
So, the ending was actually originally different.
Mm-hmm.
McAllister was originally the hero, and she was meant to live while Preacher was going to die. But test audience hated that, and so Harlan reworked and reshot and re-edited the movie so that way she came off as a bitch and less likable. That's why she is so awkward as a character, is because she was supposed to be a likable character, and she is borderline likable, but she's re-edited to be awkward and rough.
Yeah. As much as it stinks, and, like, I can understand from a director's point of view wanting to have a more complex character and a more complex ending, if your test audience gets told they're going to go watch a shitty shark movie, they need some vengeance. Somebody's got to die for the shark mistakes they have made.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that was one of the biggest complaints of her surviving, is that she is the issue and she's the reason everyone died.
Yes.
Because there were other parts cut out where the doctor who dies, the one who gets thrown into the glass, he was also a big part of this. She wasn't solely acting alone, but it was re-edited to make her look like the true villain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And,
alright.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, so that's the other thing is, like, Deep Blue Sea is a shitty shark movie, but it actually did quite well in the box office. It was the third grossing film opening weekend, and by its second weekend it was 5th. But that's also because it was going up against The Sixth Sense, The Blair Witch Runaway Bride, and the Thomas Crown Affair.
It's still impressive.
Yeah.
And honestly, even though it is a shitty shark movie, Deep Blue Sea still makes it onto a lot of people's lists for, like, top shark movie.
It's aged really well.
It has.
Even, like, okay, so you brought up earlier that the director commented that challenged people to see what's real in CGI. To be fair, for 1999, that is phenomenal CGI still used.
Yeah, it looks really good. And you can also see in the second and third one where they tried to build off of the CGI shark. Mm-hmm. They went back and re-looked at what Makos look like, and they did try to make them look more like a real Mako shark. The problem is, no one knows what a fucking Mako shark looks like.
They're not Makos.
No, they're not.
No, they specifically tell you they're not Makos.
Yeah.
They go to a completely different species of shark.
And that's kind of part of the problem. People already know what a great white looks like. These Makos were close enough looking that, like, no one really cared. Yeah, the jaw was a little different. Yeah, a couple of them had some stripies. But
it's a salmon shark.
Yeah, it was fine. I like that the later ones tried to, like, elaborate and continue that trend, but I think they went too far.
Yeah.
We need generic shark shape unless you're going for something really distinct, like Hammerhead.
Well, so it is a generic shark, because it's just a bull shark.
Bull shark is a shark.
That's 2.
No, that's the third one.
Oh yeah, because the third one's a continuation of 2. I'm still talking specifically of the first one. We do plan on doing 2 and 3 at some point, so
Fair.
But yeah, we'll get to those ones, and those will be another shit show of a discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes.
Because they are
worse.
Well,
they're worse.
I like the third one.
I do too. I like them both a lot. This one feels more classic to me.
Yes.
Oh yeah, no, this one aged the best.
Well,
I don't think the others will.
And so here's where I'll give the director Harlan credit. He specifically set out to make another shark movie and he wanted to do different themes from what Jaws has done.
Mhm.
And I will say he did a good job of it, because instead of like Jaws where it's man against nature, why Deep Blue Sea stands out is because of his harping on the Frankenstein creature and Frankenstein being killed by the creature, because it's that type of movie. It's something we've created instead of nature attacking us.
Which is why a lot of shark movies now go off of that and not so much man versus shark, because
Not as scary.
Yeah,
not as
because
scary.
that's the thing. Jaws defined the shark movie genre. Deep Blue Sea changed it to the sci-fi genre that it's become.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yeah. And also Harlan mentioned that he tried to keep the sharks as believable as possible.
Yeah.
And because even at that point, people had seen so many shark documentaries. For those unfamiliar, because I had to look this up too, because I forget how old Shark Week is.
Shark Week's so old.
Shark Week started in 1988.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this movie came out around the time where Shark Week was starting to become more of the sensationalized Shark Week that we know now.
Mhm.
When Shark Week originally began, it was much more condensed and very focused on like real life shark documentaries, footage of sharks.
Education.
It was very educational. And
Yeah.
it was very educational for a long time for how old Shark Week is. But this movie is part of the Shark Week genre, where Shark Week was more focused on the myths of sharks, the potential dangers of sharks. Look how high the shark can jump. And
I need to go see a mako shark jump out of the water.
Oh, I saw a photo of it, 20 feet.
I need to
It
go
is
see that.
terrifying.
I need to go see
It
this.
is.
I've
It
never
can
seen
jump
one.
like double the height of a great white.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Like it is.
less mass to get out of the water, really.
this is true, but
Yeah, but it also goes for smaller prey than great whites. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, for me, I think that's why Deep Blue Sea is such a solid movie. It's because it even though it is sci-fi, it has that, like you said at the start, it has that little bit of believability to it.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it's so subtle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you start digging deep like we do,
Yeah,
Yeah, it breaks
It's
down.
Yeah.
And like, granted, there's definitely parts to the shark science that they talk about in the movie that it's not correct at all.
Yeah.
But it's not so far off of the shark possibility chain that you're
exactly.
already alert.
Yeah. And by this point, all 4 Jaws had come out.
Oh yeah,
And
we
so,
had already
like-
passed Jaws 3D, so like we're good.
Yeah, and the Voodoo Jaws, which
Voodoo
I don't
Jaws.
think I saw that one.
Jaws 4 is awful. It has
Yes.
Michael Caine, the guy who plays Alfred in Batman.
Alfred. Yeah,
The butler.
No, I know who that is.
Yeah.
I was trying to think if I've seen it. I don't think I've seen it.
Yeah, it's really, really bad. And he even knows it's bad. And I think my mom told me there's some interview with him where he's like, yeah, it was bad, but it paid for my condo in Miami or something.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
blame him for that.
No,
Yeah.
I don't either. But the reason I bring up Jaws 1 through 4, all 4 sharks in the movie die the same way they do in the Jaws movies.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep. In sequential order, too.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice little nods. And so, as we've brought up, this movie brought 2 sequels. Much later, in 2018, we get the direct-to-video sequel, Deep Blue Sea 2, and the also direct-to-video sequel, Deep Blue Sea 3, in 2020.
And granted, for what they are, they're not that bad. We've seen a lot of shark sequel movies that are much worse.
It is
Looking at you, 3-legged shark.
I don't know what you're...
Three-headed shark.
Yeah,
you
it
seen-
walks on 2 of them, though.
No,
No,
that's
no, no.
six-headed.
Oh,
That's
6
Yeah.
where it takes the noses and crab
Yes.
walks.
Oh, no thank
That
you.
was a great movie.
Yeah.
Mm.
Doesn't it? No, that's right, because 5-headed shark attack is the one with the head on the front, and then 4 tailed heads.
Ugh.
It's so bad.
It's very bad.
No?
There's one. I think it's the 5th one, because that's the one where it starts on water, because it gets like the tails, and then it starts climbing on land. Because that's the 5th one is the one where it's got it's the couples therapy camp.
Yeah, well, no, so I know it's the 6-headed shark that does the land because it fans out so much more,
Yeah.
which is why they could do the crab walkie.
Yes.
Because the 5th one transitions into the 6th one in
Yes.
mid movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's because in one of the movies, I think
I know.
after 4-headed, it starts to move to the tail.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then suddenly in the 5th one, you have like 3 on the tail and 2 on the head. Like, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But it wasn't 1 and 4. Like, 1 head up front, 4 in the back. It was more spread out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they were setting up for the 6, which
We gotta
is like
make a fidget
starfish.
spinner shark.
Yeah. It's set up more like a starfish.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so compared to other shitty shark movies sequels, Deep Blue Sea 2 and 3, not that bad.
No, because they still have that little bit of realism to them that they did keep. And they didn't go Sharknado on.
They did not go
Love
Sharknado.
Sharknado.
I think the reason Shark 2 and 3 aren't the worst is because, especially visual effects wise, they didn't go full in.
Mhm.
They're not nearly as well kept, I think, as the first one, especially because I think a lot of it's from that live action shark footage that they splice in as much as they can.
Which I loved. I love to hear that's what they did, because I wasn't aware of that. Because I have tried to... There are so many shark movies out there that try to do just that.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at it and you go, I know you're literally just in a reef
Yeah.
filming this shark just for shits and giggles.
Yes. Yeah.
Like,
And so I think that's why Deep Blue Sea, the franchise, has continued, despite not necessarily all of them being theater releases.
Yeah.
And granted, if you liked Deep Blue Sea 1 enough to buy it, you were one of the suckers who also bought 2 and 3. Let's be real.
don't attack people like that.
I feel a little insulted.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, I bought them out of curiosity, but
Yeah.
I didn't feel compelled to buy them.
You bought them out of curiosity, the same reason people bought the first one for DVD.
And say,
True.
I think I was gifted mine. By you.
Maybe. Yeah, because I
Yeah.
just buy you shitty shark movies all the time.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, at the end of it all, since you are our guest, Krystal, would you recommend watching Deep Blue Sea? The first one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you like shark movies at any capacity, Deep Blue Sea is a fantastic one to watch, because it's not too scary,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but it's also got that intense, like,
Mm-hmm.
on your toes factor.
I completely agree with you, because this is one of the movies that made me afraid of the deep side of the pool as a kid.
Yeah. This could do it.
Because, like, it is one of those ones where if you watch it older, it's still a fun, stupid watch.
Yeah.
But as a kid, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like Jurassic Park of the Sea as a
Mhm.
kid.
Yeah, definitely.
What
Yeah.
about you, Chris? Do you recommend watching the movie?
Oh, yeah. This is one of my favorite summertime movies. If it was able to be watched in a pool at night, that would be ideal. Because that would give just the right amount of, like, fear factor for an adult to truly get that horror feeling. But even at home, even on your couch, this is still a lot of fun.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm excited to get through the other two at some point. So
Yep. With cross our fingers, a fourth one will come.
we shall
Maybe.
see.
Someday.
But anywho, this has been The Good, the Bad, and the Weird.
Thanks for listening.
Peace.